Hey,
What's up, dog?
it is Tuesday,
Is it?
isn't it? Yes.
It is on this side of the country.
Yeah, after a 4-day weekend.
True. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I went 4-day. I did the 4-day weekend.
That means Friday. Right?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
The bumper.
Yeah, I did the bumper on both sides. Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I didn't this year. I did a little work. Nope. I think all my clients and contractors did the bumper because I didn't get any phone calls or emails.
Well, see, and you probably use that to your advantage to like get ahead. Like for me, I just was like, no, like I am setting the I'll talk to y'all Tuesday, and
I like that.
yep,
I'm working my way up to it. I think the 4th of July weekend's going to be that.
Some of it's self-care, right? If you want to use that term. Other is like, sometimes you just got to turn the phone off.
Mm-hmm.
Or the email and the Twitters and Insta and whatever else.
All of it.
Just turn it all off. Go outside.
I think the term is just notifications. Just turn all notifications off.
I don't even leave notifications on because I'll just
regular?
Oh God, no. Like I turn those off because it's too much. Like I will check it when I'm able to check it, and I check it frequently. So if I had notifications, like my brain would just spin right off my shoulders.
Yeah, Danielle's like that too. I leave some on. I turn a lot off. I don't think I have a problem.
But you also don't. You're one of those people that aspires to have a clean inbox too, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing. Is you're like, this is the person, right? Like the fictitious person. Like we're building that person right now. That person who wants to have notifications turned on, who goes, yeah, sure. Like, tell me, like, keep my notifications on, is also the same person, interestingly enough, who wants to get that inbox to zero. That resides apparently in the same person. In my world, you could be in my world.
Well, you're not inbox zero. I know that.
We're not inbox zero.
At least the last time I saw your phone, I almost had a panic attack.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, if you get I'm not at zero. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 emails that I track. Ugh. 4 accounts. Teaching, work, personal, and the old work. I still track because I have one project that I'm trying to finish with the old boss. But and so I have 4 inboxes that I'm trying to zero out. I'm not there yet. So.
Do you like this light thing that's going on right here?
Is it the sun? It is the sun.
Yeah. See, I can almost control it with my mind. Look at it. Look.
If you want to,
I'm not even moving. I'm just like.
Yeah, it's like Magneto. Good for you.
Yeah. Thanks.
The force is strong.
Something.
What was I gonna say now? I already forgot about.
I do have an innate ability to distract.
Well, so today, unfortunately for our friends and followers, is going to be a short and sweet because it is the week before our big conference that we've been talking about for a couple of weeks now, And I have to cook some pork chops. So we are recording in the evening hour today because we're running up on our trip to San Francisco. So
which we'll talk about, which we will fit in a minute or two.
Yeah, we won't rush. We won't rush it. You know, but,
yeah. We still have time. Like, you know, things from the freezer are defrosting. It's okay.
Yeah, people. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, how bad it gets.
You're like, I'm a little nervous.
Hungry people get angry. So let's see. Well, I guess we want to wait till the formal part of the episode, I think, right? To talk about some of the fun new things.
Oh, we got, yes. There's surprises.
Surprise, we got merch. Surprise.
It's like, surprise. Like, let me just tell you what the surprise is going to be.
Well, maybe then we can carry over the live streamers into
Gotcha.
the formal.
Yes.
You know, it's a remember the curve, right?
I know this is all about the outtakes in the live portion.
Grading on the curve.
Yes.
And the curve has a front end, the middle, and the back end. Right.
Is this like day one of Kurt's studio class where he's like, okay, so here's the deal, y'all. Do you even say that? Like, I mean, after talking to me on this podcast for so long, do you find yourself at some point just going, you know, y'all, and just kind of like slipping it in there?
The y'alls do come in.
Okay, every once in a while. Okay.
I could pull off a y'all.
Okay.
Y'all.
I'm good. That's good.
And it is all due to you, Jamie.
Well, probably not, but I'll take credit. So.
Well, I don't know of many other southern. I mean, Danielle has some southern, Houston-based family.
We don't talk about Houston, though.
No, I mean, we don't.
We just don't.
Nope. I was thinking about our trip to Galveston, though. Why did it cross my mind?
Because you were thinking about Sterling?
It'll come back to me. Well, yeah, partly that. Probably partly because we were about to record. And maybe it had to do with barbecue. So, as per, you know, as one desires some Texas barbecue.
Well, you know, two things, two fun facts on barbecue, and then we can go to the real episode. So fun fact number one is Texas A&M actually has a barbecue school.
Cool.
That you as a potential barbecue connoisseur can pay to attend I think it's like a 2 day.
You can audit. Can you audit the coursework?
No, this isn't. It's not a college class. It's like a 2 day, like, come to A&M and learn from real pitmasters, all the things. Because, I mean, you know, and it works actually with the university, though, because, you know, it's an agricultural and mechanical college. You know, it's like, you know, state schools were sort of set up that way. And there is a big ag program at A&M. So, I mean, it totally makes sense. But they leaned in completely to the whole barbecue culture. And they're like, you know, Texas Monthly, you've got 50 of the best barbecue joints. We're just going to go tap that, you know, list of pitmasters and, like, invite them over to talk all things cuts of meat, different techniques, the whole bit. And it's like, it sells out. Like, it's like multiple years, like.
Oh, waiting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, Texas is good at barbecue.
It's pretty,
it's hard,
you know.
It's hard to argue that one.
Yeah. And then the other fun fact number two is Austin is the land of festivals, which I've tried to tell you about. And so not only is there a coffee festival in September,
Yes. Right. Hint
But
taken.
but most recently, and September is a birthday month.
Duly noted.
Thinking.
Duly.
But the one festival that I would kind of like, there's a what they call the Hot Luck Fest, and it's like this whole barbecue and food festival like created by like Aaron Franklin of Franklin's Barbecue and a bunch of other people, and it like just happened, and like I saw some photos of it, and like I've never been. A couple friends might have been recently, and like it's ridiculous. So the food thing is real in Austin, but don't move here. Just come visit. Just come visit.
Well, I've got pork chops to cook, so.
I know. So
now I'm just hungry.
Yeah, I know. We've just made this episode all about the food, and
I'm avoiding the hangries though. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, none of that.
All right. Well, 2 fun facts, and now we're launching in, hitting the go button, because it's time. Oh yeah. Hey Jamie. How you doing?
Howdy.
Howdy y'all.
Howdy y'all.
Howdy y'all.
From Austin, listeners. Texas. Yes.
Has anybody ever called you Pit Boss?
I don't really want to be called that. But no, definitely not. Not me. Have you met me in real life? No.
Are you connoisseur of barbecue but don't make the barbecue?
Oh no, God. I didn't know where you were going, pit boss. There's so many different connotations for pit boss, and I didn't know we were going to go back to the So for those listeners who are like, what the hell are they talking about in episode 121? We do have a pre-show that we do live. We're doing this live too, but the live show gets edited, and so the pre-show. There was a whole lot of talk about Texas barbecue.
Yep.
And
now we're all hungry.
Now we're all hungry.
Hangry.
Kurt
Hangry's in 15 minutes.
Kurt's doing something about pork chops. But they're going to probably be those like thin ones. So anyhow. Oh, thicker. Good. Better. Good.
They're organic. Farm. What do you call it? A grass-fed sort of organic. No BS.
On the grill.
If we get done with this podcast, I could maybe.
So do you marinate the pork beforehand? Dry rub, seasoning.
I get by with a little dry rub. Danielle.
Do you have more than salt and pepper in the cabinet?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not extensive. Danielle's not a massive spice mixer.
I mean, a good marinade can really kind of, yeah.
Kurt's a keep it simple, keep the marriage together kind of
guy. Okay. Enough.
Less is more. How about that architecture tie-in?
There you go. And the pivot is on back to architecture and design, and a little bit of coffee. So cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy. I like the mug that you got going. Jamie, so we can't do free shoutouts anymore. FYI. People now pay for a shout out.
Oh.
It's a pay to play situation. And the reason being, I'm going to share a screen, is because of this.
Mm.
For those that are just listening in, what I'm sharing screen of is the official Coffee Sketch Podcast merch store. And we have t-shirts and mugs at this link at the ko-fi.com Coffee Sketch Podcast /shop. Shameless plug, but if I don't say it,
and
it
soon to
doesn't
have,
happen.
and I'll say soon to be beans.
True, the beans forthcoming, coffee
Yeah,
beans. So the actual coffee, you
I
know.
I'm really hopeful. I'm like Kurt has laid down the law on all this stuff, and
Well, it's like a Pandora's box. You start opening it up, and it happens. And I just want to point out, the fun part, because the marketing schmarketing part is not my favorite, but I get to name the products, and so the T-shirt is called Black Coffee. So you can buy, a cup of black coffee as a T-shirt.
I like it.
That's the name of the color, black coffee. And then the mug. Currently, the mug is currently available just white with our logo, because I think it looks rather handsome.
I think so. I think it is rather handsome. I mean, we've offline had some discussions about the logo and my love hate relationship with it. Um, as one does as a designer, architect, artist, as we all do. But I do say that's a damn fine looking coffee mug.
Yeah. I, as the connoisseur, or the the affiliate of Jamie, I love the logo. And I mean, first try nailed it, in my opinion. And so I chose. I mean, the surprise to Jamie was that I set this merch stuff up, and so I was like, oh, I want the logo on the mug. I mean, yeah, I get a little bias, so I put the logo on the mug. Look at this picture, this little sample picture, which samples are forthcoming. So Jamie's gonna have a handful and a T-shirt. Stuff is there's some stuff in the works. Shipping included. So
I didn't
anywho.
think I didn't think you were saying shipping. I thought you were going to say shit's getting real, but that's cool.
Well, that is also true. Um,
And I might add that the logo is a nice lead into our sketches, which we'll get to in a moment. But
right.
first
Well,
up
first,
is
the coffee.
we are going to San Francisco, buddy.
That's right. Yeah, we're 1 week away. Well, in a day. I don't know. Time zones,
So
stuff like that.
time
We're a
zones,
week away.
like, so Ben, one of our guests, gave us an excellent recommendation on a coffee joint that's architecturally related. So I will put the plug in right now for those who are listening, and then those who are listening in when we publish this one before convention. Give us some recommendations on some spots you think we should hit up.
Yep. Attractive coffee shops, architectural, the better. So,
And
so
tasty would be good.
well, yes. It's a form follows function.
Yes,
It's
for sure.
So what are you drinking in this episode today, sir?
It's the Cuvée Dark Roast. Um, giving a little bit of love to Cuvée because I've been talking about one of their competitors locally here, Little City, quite a bit. So decided to go with the Cuvée today.
That sounds good. I've got the tail end of the current bag of Rootless Damn Fine, the go-to Damn Fine cup of coffee, and so I guess the question mark might be is that maybe the next thing I'm drinking is something acquired from either San Francisco or Rootless Coffee Sketch Coffee.
I would love, like, it
It's
would
gonna be
it would be amazing, like if we were able to enjoy Coffee Sketch Rootless collaboration.
I need to do a little check-in,
Yeah. Well, and when you do your
find
check-in, I do want you to say to them that that Jamie is going to be going to see Fire Walk with Me in the theater.
Ooh.
Especially since you were talking about the damn fine cup of coffee.
Right.
So I am going to. I've treated myself. I will be able to attend a screening of that flick in the Texas theater, which historically is kind of got its own history at a whole nother level. So it's a whole lot of things. Hell of a way to start your vacation.
It's
But
yeah. This is not the Texas Theater in Dallas. Oh, it is?
oh yeah,
I was teasing you about this the other day. You mean like the Oswald,
oh yeah,
Lee Harvey Oswald. For those, I mean,
it
if you don't know, I don't know
we are
where
it
you've
is
been.
it is all the things. Like I am.
Jamie's gonna walk from the book depository.
No, even better. Even better. Like Shepherd Ferry has an exhibit in Dallas downtown of some of his original work. So I think there's going to be like a gallery, visit, and then Texas Theater Firewalk with Me. Yeah,
Well, in the
and
mm,
and some of the cast from the original series are going to be in attendance.
oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's fun. But I feel like there's gonna be, I mean, if you have not seen Twin Peaks, there's a lot of voodoo, and I feel like something voodoo is gonna happen that night. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. I can't wait to hear the story after.
well, I mean,
As long as Jamie doesn't see some ghosts,
yeah,
or maybe he will. I don't know. As long as the ghosts don't take him.
I will check in with you just to make sure.
I
So,
need my co-host.
yeah, yeah.
Co-host. So so yeah, so we're heading out to San Fran. So we are trying to squeeze in one little podcast, one more episode before we get out the door or on the airplane and embark. Which we then will be doing. We're going to try and figure out some live streaming at the conference. I haven't even told Jamie this, but I'm going to try and live stream my students. So my grad students that I'm teaching are night classes. So we're going to be 3 hours behind. So at 4:30 California time.
I'm going to be doing design reviews. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
we're not in a stage of review, but what we're going to do. This is my concept.
I like it. I like it so
We're gonna
far.
we're gonna interview companies on the expo floor that are relevant to the subject matter in the classes I'm teaching.
Sweet.
That's the idea. And I think I told my students last week. They seem to be into it. And there's definitely a handful I'm not even going to talk about it because it's going to take too long. But I'm kind of excited about it, and I think it's kind of neat, and it'll be a fun sort of challenge almost for us to navigate the expo floor and do
Which I mean,
these
which in
little
it, which I mean,
interviews.
for those who've not gone to an architecture convention, like the expo floor. I mean, if you've been to any convention, you kind of understand whether it's like, I don't know, Bed Bath and Beyond convention, or like Comic Con convention, or
Right.
like movie convention, or like, I don't know what else. You
Band-Aid.
know, there you go. So
Well,
yeah, no,
conventions
but
have,
I think
yes, a
it's
format.
just it's the format, you know. And so the format is, I mean, it could be like, you know, if you're a purveyor of childcare, and I'm sure there's a childcare convention, you know. I mean, so you know, each one has different consultants, product reps, you know, different people who are kind of ancillary to your industry, who are trying to get your attention, sell you your product, you know, tell you what's new and innovative and interesting. And for us, in kind of our role with the podcast, I think it's a great forum for us to kind of look at and see what is out there. You know, what is new, what is innovative, how does it relate? You know, because a lot of the things that we do talk about on the podcast are ones where it's a through line. It's process driven. So in that process is, what are the influences? And if the influences aren't coming from a variety of sources, including industry, then we're kind of missing the boat. So I think the expo is a great opportunity for us to kind of connect with some folks. You know, one of the ones that we've already scheduled, which I'm pretty excited about,
Hmm.
because you know the two of us use it a lot, and have used it for a number of years, but probably haven't had this kind of access and conversation is with SketchUp. So we're going to be talking to SketchUp. Um,
Yeah. And I've gotten some emails, they're sort of newsletter type emails. There's some interesting assets and features that they're including now with a little bit of AI. AI is kind of the big buzz thing right now. And, I just acquired an iPad through my grant. And so I just realized that there's a SketchUp. They've built SketchUp for iPad, which I honestly think they're the first ones that have a fully fledged design software that's capable for iPad. And
well,
that's
I
really
mean,
intriguing to me.
well, and I think it's, you know, with them and companies like, and apps like Morpholio Trace and others, you know, I think there is a different kind of workflow that you can kind of experiment with. I mean, again, at the end of the day, it's time, talent, right? And you know, how much time are you going to put into something? How much talent are you going to do? You know, how much are you bringing to the table? You know, who are you collaborating with? And then, you know, the adage is time, talent, treasure. And I mean, in my mind, sort of treasure is, you know, what software, you know, what asset can you purchase, acquire, get access to, that's going to help you. And so if it's an app like, you know, SketchUp, you know, on an iPad, or Morpholio Trace, or some kind of different workflow that you're, you know, experimenting with, that's, you know, that's important. And it's something that I think that between the two of us, we're right at the fulcrum of. I mean, it's definitely the way we think about our own work,
Hmm.
and whether it's experimental or, you know, pure production based. And so I'm looking forward to it. You know, this is sort of our time to go experiment and experiment with the podcast as well. So
Yeah, it'll be fun too. This idea of like sharing is my whole point of trying to include my students in on the conversation in a live format. So we'll see. I don't know if anybody else is kind of trying that out, but I think it'll be kind of fun.
no, no, for sure.
It could be a complete disaster or it could be a complete success. So that's the whole point. No reward if no risk taken, right?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, and I think that that's sort of the fun part of, you know, kind of our approach to all this. Um, you know, we were kind of, you know, joking, and we've been joking. We've having this banter back and forth, about different architecture and architecture adjacent people that we know. And it's sort of, you don't necessarily want to dip into other people's conversations because that's bad form. But then at the same time, like there's other conversations that are kind of out there that you're getting influenced by, in social channels. And so I think the question that I would have for you is like, okay, if we're going to talk to your students on the podcast, how are they in turn going to share it with other people? Whether they're with their classmates or with other colleagues, other peers, because I think that's kind of that's the end game for some of this for us, is that it's not about reach for the podcast, it's about sort of content. And I think if we have this sort of experimentation with content and conversation, what I want to sort of see what the feedback loop is.
Well, I mean, to be continued.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be interesting. And so now it's just the stress of like, okay, how does the tech work? So we'll figure it out.
I love how you bring it back to that, because you're just like, yeah, my inbox is starting to fill up as we speak.
The stress.
I don't even want to look at the numbers.
So here, well, before I got a unfortunate timeline here before the hangries kick in. So we're gonna dive right into a couple of sketches, short and sweet, because this is the week before the conference. Oldies, but not oldies, but goodies. Old subject, new sketches.
Old subject, new sketches, and a tie-in back to the OG logo.
True.
So,
yes.
I mean, if for those who are kind of, if anyone has ever dissected the logo with anything more than 3 seconds of a scan of it, it is absolutely the building on the right. It is Castelvecchio, Carlo Scarpa. Anyone who went to architecture school, if they did not encounter this building at some point in their careers, you probably need to go check yourself with a refund on that degree. Only because I think that his work is such a touchstone for the idea of process.
Yeah.
And I think that any architecture professor who turns around and introduces this subject matter to their students at some point, that's usually what the conversation is talking about. Is the idea of process, and you can enter it and enter his story kind of at a multitude of different points of view, but it all, ultimately it gets to Castelvecchio, or the Olivetti store in Venice, as sort of the two, preeminent, works of his. The other sketch is one that I really didn't know much about until recently, and from time to time, I'll kind of go back to some old favorites and sort of see if there's other buildings that I'm not as familiar with, and so this is one of his in Florence.
I love the sketch because at first, I mean, it's one that I haven't been aware of either, and so you have this interesting sort of brick facade and these two portals, these diamond-shaped portals through a brick wall, or I don't know if is it a collage, or is that actually the way the form is, with a sort of opening to something beyond?
There's an opening to something beyond.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it's a hotel in Florence. Probably not in our price range. Just getting that out there.
If people buy enough merch, we might be able to pull that off.
Get more of that black coffee. Don't just get one. Get one for your
t-shirts. How many t-shirts, Jamie, is it going to take to get us?
There are 7 days in a week, so
That's right. We can do it. Never say never. But
yeah,
the sketch is great because Um, Scarpa stuff. I was taught Scarpa by my first year instructor because of the some aspects of minimalism, abstraction, um, and how form does sort of emerge from a sketch, like a sketching process, really, a sort of thinking, the process. And and honestly, Scarpa was, if I don't want to say ahead of his time in the sense that, like, you know deconstructivist or modernist architecture is now, but it's influenced by Scarpa. And 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 almost any Scarpa building could sort of I mean, anything that lives on is definitely a quality and timeless sort of design synthesis, I guess, without trying to avoid too much jargon, but
Well,
just sort of emulate or express, like, the
well,
form
the,
factor.
the timelessness of the forms, the geometries are really simple. It's not trying to overthink the geometry, and so that's why, like, I mean, I saw this image of this courtyard space and these two interlocking forms, and I was like, I've never seen him do that before, but absolutely was not surprised that it was his work. It reminded me of the two interlocking circles that are at the gravesite um, in, I'm going to get it wrong now because I just, the Brion Cemetery. I can't think of the name of the city because it's in between Venice and Verona. Um, it's not Vicenza, but it's near Vicenza. Um, Anyhow, the Brion Cemetery. There's a very iconic image of two interlocking circles, kind of two, almost like an infinity kind of
Mm,
symbol um,
mhm,
on its side, and this reminded me of that kind of articulation of two pure geometries, in a sketch, and it's totally different space, but it's this sort of same level of how do I make an opening in a wall? How do I do it in a way that is artistic in nature but well crafted? And how do I pick up those material transitions so that the craft of not me as the architect or the designer who's putting pencil to paper, but that the person in the field who's going to execute this really gets to really execute it. And I think that that's the thing about Scarpa's work
mm,
that's so timeless to me, is that, I mean, if you look at his drawings, they're gorgeous. I mean, they, beautiful drawings, watercolors, mixed media, a variety of different techniques that he employs to kind of convey and kind of work through a drawing and an image. Um, but then in the work itself, it's sort of, it's the execution of it, like you're saying. It's not overwrought. It's, you know a stone is a stone, a piece of metal is a piece of metal, a brick is a brick. And it's sort of that, how do those things meet in this new way that the architect is envisioning? That's where, the real creativity kind of lies. And I think that that's the beauty, in his work that's fascinated me for sure. But I think it's one where I think it's personally, I think it's interesting that your first year design instructor was kind of introducing you to him. I didn't recognize him, probably for another year and a half in my architecture curriculum. Um, and and then was fortunate enough to go to Italy and see some of this work in person. And at that point, it was like I couldn't get enough of it. Um,
yeah. And actually, too, with the choice of material, like you were saying, your sketch on the left, which introduces some vegetation, is a great contrast of natural, or at least let's say, natural in the sense of the plant life, and then the masonry and the sort of constructed, I guess, the building forms and things like that, and how these things can live together. I mean, it's really fun to see the sketch on the left as a new building to us, or to me, having not really been very familiar with it, is fun to see the sort of looseness of, or the suggestion of, the brick wall, and then a little bit of vegetation like a weed, a weed
Well,
growing next to the slab of concrete or something,
well, I mean, that was the
just to
thing
give
is
it some dimension. And
you really could feel like you could be there. You know,
mhm,
these little vignettes, and admittedly, I scoured trying to find lots and lots of images of this particular building, and so I don't know how much of it's been changed. Because I mean, he passed away a long time ago.
right.
So I don't know how much has changed of his work, since then. Um, but even it, for folks who aren't necessarily super familiar with Scarpa, maybe they've heard of him. Maybe they're not architectural aficionados or architects who are listening to this. If you think about stories that you've heard about Frank Lloyd Wright, where Frank Lloyd Wright would design someone's house, and then they would design the furniture. So he designed the house, he designed where the dining room is, he designed the dining room table, he'd also designed the plates for that dining room table and the
Hmm.
silverware.
Right.
And it'd be all the way down to that detail. Scarpa had those same kind of moments in his career,
Yeah.
not to obviously not to the same extent, but it's that sort of exploration of material and craft that's really present in his buildings that he would do in smaller pieces like sconces and door handles and things that of a completely different scale. And what I liked about this you know little vignette in this courtyard in this hotel was sort of what you're getting at is you could imagine being in that space. These plants are sort of growing up around and living in and amidst his architecture. And that's and Castelvecchio, the sketch on the right that is our logo, is the same thing. I have spent probably more time in that building and staring at that building than any other architect that I've ever studied. And so
And I wouldn't even doubt that
it is a
it's.
touchstone.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was saying, or I was interrupting and saying, I wouldn't even doubt that Castelvecchio has an extreme influence on a lot of filmmakers that we're fans of as well, which I know we've weaved into conversations in the past here and there, but volume and space, I mean, and light quality, and shade, shadow, things like that. I mean, all the things that we kind of constantly talk about, but um, it's always fun to kind of talk about Scarpa anytime, because it, there's so much time has passed, say, from our practicing generation to when he was in practice, at least, well, you and me, right?
Right.
And so,
Well, I mean, the other thing about Castelvecchio for folks who've seen the image on the right, either in a photograph or one of my sketches, because I do sketch it a lot, even from this vantage point or multiple vantage points. I mean, this is the fissure. This is the breakaway point in the building. This is where the building sort of dissolves against the centuries old wall.
mhm.
And so um, it's an interesting kind of vertical access point. But thing that I haven't sketched as much, I have done some sketches. Maybe we'll drop them in the chat of the exhibits inside the museum. I mean, in the gallery spaces, the way a centuries old art piece is hung and displayed. is equally as amazing as the space that it's inhabiting. And all of that is attributed to Scarpa. So it's not just the building. It's the way one experiences the space. So, circling back to your point about the plants in the garden, yeah, it's I want to believe, that he was thinking about those things.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. And yeah, we can. It's one of those things that it's like a sweater unraveling. We could keep going forever, but I would like to leave it there only on purpose and not because pork chops have to be cooked.
Is this because of the mystery?
The mystery.
We're going to talk about the mystery?
Oh gosh, no! You reminded me before I was going to leave it, but I do want to. Let's pivot to the mystery,
Okay.
but also um, just keeping it short like this to leave a little intrigue. It is really the mystery to create
Okay.
that intrigue to attract more people to kind of look at Scarpa's work and think about the spaces. And definitely, if you have a chance to get there, go see these spaces. But yes, I'll pitch it back to you. I forgot about our mystery.
So, so from a mystery standpoint, um, when the two of us are online, and we've been online on multiple channels for a long time, dipping in and out of architecture communities, and we talked about that about a little bit at the beginning of the show, and we're going to go to the convention here in a moment. But of late, as some of the social channels have pivoted, and kind of waned and waxed in terms of who's on and how much real good conversation and content there is. If you've been a diehard and stayed with the Twitters for any length of time, you might have noticed that there's sort of we'll call it a subreddit kind of community of folks who are, I want to say, sort of championing the good fight of, you know, that architecture does matter, that design does matter, and that people at their core are trying hard. Oh, are we looking for the dog? Is there a dog?
No, she's over there.
Okay. The cat is totally sound asleep now. But and I have no idea where Tink is. Oh, no, Tink's out cold. So all that being said, when you discover these anonymous personalities who've not outed themselves, do you have guesses? Do you have guesses about who these people are? Do we know them?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if well, you and I guess a little
We
bit.
guess. We can't. I don't want to say on this. Don't.
No, I
Kurt,
won't.
don't.
The
Kurt,
mystery is the
Kurt.
mystery.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is fun to wonder the voice. What is the voice?
Well, I mean, so like it's yeah. I mean, because there's a persona that's being generated, similar to the way the Coffee Sketch like Twitter account has its own persona, but it's two people who are talky. So that's kind of fun, right? But if we're playing detective, right? Like, is that healthy? Like, is it time for like Scooby and the gang to like start,
Well, I think a week will tell. In a week.
Okay. So
I think because what Scooby Doo and the gang, you have to go on site to solve the mystery,
right,
right?
right,
We can't do it
and
from the internet.
right. Well, and I mean, and what were you saying about Batman? I mean, like,
Right. If you were to, if you know it's Bruce Wayne, do you go up to Bruce Wayne and say, "I know you're Batman"?
Hmm.
So we have some
So
thoughts.
I think what Kurt's trying to say is we have a guess at who, you know, the real hustle architect is. And many have tried to guess. Um, and then the guessing stopped because everyone was just sort of impressed by the sheer amount of analysis and volume that this person has put out to further conversations on a multitude of subjects, which I will say that the two of us have appreciated and digested and discussed, though not on the podcast. But yeah, we still have a guess. I
And the
think our
mystery machine's going to San Francisco.
and the mystery machine's going to San Francisco.
And so we'll follow up on that one in due time. But anyway, so Jamie, thanks for populating our feed with a couple of new Scarpa sketches. It's always fun to explore. I did find an image of that hotel building, and now I'm going to keep going offline and kind of follow this rabbit hole into more Scarpa. So I'll see you in a week, man.
Yeah, good times. Thanks, buddy.
Talk to you later.